So today we're going to talk about childhood obesity, where we are, what's being done, where we are globally. Where are we all globally? The country. What's being done and how you can help. And you don't have to have kids or grandkids necessarily to help, but we'll get to that later. First I want to talk about definitions. When we do start to label children in these categories of obese or overweight, we go by a body mass index. So body mass index might not have been something that we've been familiar with all our lives, but it sure is common now. So the body mass index is a number that's calculated just using your weight and your height. And it's a formula, and it's used for all people of all ages, and it is your weight divided by your height 2 times 703. That's a constant number. So in the world of children, we graph children on a growth chart. The growth chart looks like this. This is a growth chart for boys 2 to 20 years. And basically what this chart has done for us is it's labeled with different colors the categories of what we just saw. So without making you dizzy, I am going to go back and forth a little between these two slides. Underweight is down here, let's see, I'm down here in this area. Under the 5th percentile is considered underweight. This green area right here is considered a normal weight. This is considered, let's see, what do they call it? Overweight or at risk of being obese. And then above, in the pink, is above the 95th percentile, and that's considered obese. So what this chart does is it plots age against the bottom against weight going up the side. So wherever your dot occurs anywhere on here, that's how you can be determined in a body mass index, as well as using the numbers that you just saw. Okay? So here's some statistics about where we are. In regard to childhood obesity, has more than tripled in the past 30 years. The prevalence of obesity among children aged 6 to 11, so that's elementary school, has increased from 6.5 in 1980 to 19.6 in 2008. So you can see that's basically a triple over that amount of time. Over the same amount of time, the 12 to 19, and that's pretty much taking middle school and high school and lunking them together and saying that they've increased from 5% to 18%, again, a threefold increase of obesity. And so when you hear this word obesity, most what they're talking about is kids who have that body mass index up here in the pink. All right, so that's why I wanted you to kind of have that definition working for you. We don't have to read this word for word because it sort of just states more of the same, but just so you know where the data comes from, high schoolers every other year are all measured their height and their weight, so we can figure out their body mass index. And then they're put into this huge database. This is done all across the country. I just received in the spring the letter from my 9th grader from her high school that said that if it was okay for her to participate in this survey, do nothing. If I didn't want her to participate in the survey, fill out the papers and send it to the high school. So, of course, I was tempted to say, well, I want her to participate, and can you send me the results? I'm so interested in this because 2011 is the next year for this survey. So these things that we're going to see on the next couple of slides is what came from 2009. So it showed, the 2009 results showed that 12% of the nation's high school students are obese, meaning they fell in that top category on the body mass index graph that we all got to look at. I'm not going to read this paragraph word for word again, but let me see how many of you have heard of Let's Move. Okay. It is, whose program is that? First Lady, that's right. That's Michelle Obama's program, and her mission, and I don't know if I have it on this slide or the next one, but I think I have a quote on the next one. Well, no, further down. I'm sorry. But her mission is to take this generation of kids right now and teach them differently about food and activity. She's got a lot going on, and so it certainly is a very extensive program, and we will talk about it a little bit more later. So what this paragraph basically is saying is that if we don't get a handle on this generation of children, the numbers of chronic obesity-related health problems like heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, and asthma are going to be probably more than the healthcare system can even begin to take care of, if we just could leave it at that even. Now, the next series of slides is taking these results from this National Youth Risk Behavior Survey, and the risk part comes in because not only are they weighing and measuring these kids in high school, but they're asking them if they're participating in risky behaviors. Are you smoking? Are you drinking? Are you wearing your seatbelt? Are you doing all these different types of things? And so that information comes out in this survey as well. So that's where that kind of comes in. It looks, you look at this and you think, well, gosh, that doesn't seem so very bad, but it does show its kind of steady increase, and you have to realize how many kids are in this database. This is all high schoolers across the nation. So it takes kind of quite a bit in the math to see this increase, and we have seen a steady increase. Now, this is where they live. This is where the percentage of high school students who were obese. So you see in the darkest, purplest ones, those states had the highest percentage of obese kids. So I want you to kind of take note. What have we got? We've got them around in here. We've got a lot of purple states here. We've got our little states purple here. Okay? So these are the kids that were above the 95th percentile. This is sort of how it fell out in the United States. Now these are the kids that were overweight. So think to that BMI chart I first showed you. They're actually down a little bit on their chart. Their body mass index is a little bit better. They're being called overweight. They're not being called obese necessarily. And this is where they live. They live kind of in the same place, but I think here's where I went to school. I think Texas gets lumped in on this one. And we're not in this particularly. We're in this category here when we come to the overweight part. So I just wanted to point this out because I thought this was interesting when you compare it to this. Now this, we go away from the kids for just a minute and we talk a little bit about adults. And these are obese adults with BMIs, body mass index, greater than 30. And here's where they're, oops, go back. Here's where they're living now, 2009, close to now. They're living where? Where the kids are. Oh, wait, the kids are living with them maybe, I don't know. And this is the area right in here. Now, did anybody see, and I mean, this could be within I don't know how many months, but there was some information that started coming out about parts of the country where there was the most diabetes. Did anybody see that on the national news? And where was that?
Well, we're one of them.
We are. And a good other part of that is right here. And some people forever have called that what? America's breadbasket. Now I think they're calling it something else differently because of the amount of diabetes. But because it is very closely related. That obesity and diabetes are closely related, and we saw also with the children's statistics that was all kind of, it's making sense. This was a little something that I found, and I just thought it was a little bit of stating the obvious, but still interesting. It starts with the healthy child. who gets involved more in the things that you do inside the house and the things you do outside the house, and eats chips, and I think that's a hamburger. And I'll study no action. That can happen as well. And then they turn into the mildly obese child. And they come down here, and with these little words are saying, this one here is saying, I'm no good at sports. And I think this one's saying, I'm having trouble with the stairs, going up the stairs, something. So the extra 10 pounds, that says inhibits movement. And you go to the moderately obese child, and you go over here, and now they're having some real issues with the kids at school, because the kids at school are making fun of them. And exercise is very uncomfortable and very painful. And they move to a severely obese child and move to an obese adult, and then this is the listing of the things that come along with obesity, and some other possible coronary artery disease, and diabetes is listed there, and it shows the cycle. But what's being done? Okay, let's talk about Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign. Well, you know, when I was preparing this talk, I thought, oh, I went on the website and I thought, oh, I've got to print this. Oh, I've got to give these good people that. I thought, well, they can do this. They can go online and look at all this great stuff. There's a lot on there. Michelle Obama has a lot of programs. I'm giving her all the credit. I'm sure she has a huge team, and I'm sure they do a great job, but she gets to be, you know, the one who brought all this around. And this was the quote I was thinking about. In the end, as First Lady, this isn't just a policy issue for me. This is a passion. This is my mission. I am determined to work with folks across this country to change the way a generation of kids thinks about food and nutrition. Okay, so has she given up on the older generations? No, not really. She's starting where she could probably have this impact to take the kids through their lives and bringing programs in all areas where kids are. And kids are everywhere. Kids are in the schools, kids are in the communities, kids are coming to the doctor's office, kids are everywhere. So she has these programs within Let's Move cities and towns. That's where you can get your political folks involved in Let's Move. You can get your senators, your House of Representatives, you can get your city council people to sign papers and send them off to Washington and become a Let's Move city. If you so choose, you can do that. Chefs Move to Schools. You'll see that that's not only a program that's within here, but Greenville County has put a Chefs in School program as well in place to try to get more nutritious, and actually that program is also focusing on some local sourcing into the schools, local food ingredients. And then through the churches, faith and communities, Let's Move Outside. That has to do with community parks. What's another big thing of Michelle Obama that's outside? It's in her yard, her garden. So she wants everyone to have a garden. And I love that idea. So basically, that is so, you know, just the high points of the Let's Move campaign. There's a lot of information, and I did stop myself from, I have one, and I'll just at the end if anyone wants to take it. But otherwise, just go to letsmove.gov and just look around. There's a lot of stuff going on.